In this video, I want to talk about my 4 top tips to help you from being sore after exercise. I want to discuss why we get sore after exercise and most importantly, what you can do to help to prevent it. So let's go. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name's John. I'm the head therapist here at John W Sports Injury. We are looking at this channel to help you do 3 simple things. Understand your body better, get rid of any pain or weakness, so ultimately you can strive forwards and hit your sports, exercise, health, well-being goals. So if that sounds like the type of content that you want to be checking out, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And let's get talking about what we want to focus on today, which is soreness after exercise. What is soreness after exercise? Well, effectively, we often term this DOMS. DOMS stands for delayed onset of muscle soreness. And why is this happening? Well, there's probably 2 schools of thought, perhaps one being slightly more older, one being slightly more current. But the 2 schools of thoughts are that we either have what we term lactic acid being the problem or micro tears being the problem. Lactic acid, which was always the sort of classic view to why we were suffering with pain after sport and exercise, is that when we're exercising, our body as a byproduct produces lactic acid. It makes the muscles acidic, and that is why we're getting sore in the days afterwards. And it was always blamed for everything. However, perhaps a more current view, according to research, is what we term the micro tear theory. And what this means is that when we're competing in sport and exercise or general well-being things, that we're actually getting very small tears in our muscles. Not significant enough to give us injury, but actually causing us to be sore. So this tends to be happening perhaps the day after exercise, or actually what we might term true DOMS, peaks at around 2 to 3 days after exercise. So people are often surprised that perhaps the second day after exercising, they're even more sore than the day after. But actually there is some sense to that when we understand this DOMS principle. But what I want to talk about is the 4 top tips that I think can help you if you are someone who suffers with DOMS to help prevent that a little bit. Firstly, my first tip is around stretching after exercise. And importantly, this is static stretching, where we're looking to hold a muscle in an elongated state. And if you know my content or seen my content before, you know I will always talk about holding these stretches for at least 30 seconds. Why are we doing this after exercise? Why is this helpful? Well, because when we've been exercising, our muscles have begun in their resting length, and then over time they've been contracting, and that will shorten and tighten those muscles. So when we finish exercise, this is a fantastic time when the muscles are warm and in this shortened state to try to stretch those muscles out and return them to their resting length. If we don't do that, we run the risk of leaving them in these shortened states, and then they place in more pressure upon the joint that those muscles affect. So if we compete in some sports and exercise, we go to the gym and do a workout, the muscles become short, that can apply more pressure on the joints. If we leave them in that position, then actually that can continue that and we can feel sore the day after. So actually, following exercise is a really good thing to complete these static stretches for about 30 seconds, and that will be helping you out the next day with the muscles being in a better state. My second tip is around protein. Now, protein as a food group has the role of helping us to both grow but also to rebuild damaged muscle tissue. So again, when we've been competing in a sport or exercise, we've been breaking down those muscles, leading towards these micro tears. So what we want to do is we want to replenish or rebuild those muscle stores as quickly as possible. So by taking in some protein as quickly as possible, this can be really helpful. So there are things like protein shakes out there, but also by just affecting or thinking about your diet, we can help ourselves post-exercise. So taking on things like chicken, turkey, fish, animal-based products tend to come quite high in protein, but we can also have yogurt, nuts, pulses, sort of beans, things that we know, even some of the plant-based meats like tofu and things can become very high in protein. So that can be really helpful to be taking these things on after exercise and just acknowledging that we want to be taking on more protein. We also see more and more in the media about the benefits of protein, and as a result, I think the food consumer market is following, and there's lots of available protein bars, and also some of the sort of commercial chocolate bars that we're aware of have their protein-based versions where they have enhanced protein in them. So my final way of getting protein into the body as well is something like chocolate milk can be a very helpful source of protein. But overall, getting more protein into your diet post-exercise will help to rebuild those muscles and prevent you from being quite so sore following exercise. My third tip is around using methods of cold application. So making our body colder can help by calming the inflammatory response. So if we think that this soreness is being caused by this micro tear theory, and we've got these tears in the muscle, the body will respond by creating a big inflammatory response. And this can make the whole process feel a little bit sore. What we want to be doing is calming that inflammatory response, settling that immediate reaction by the body, and using cold can be a good means of doing this. So you might have seen things like ice baths, but it doesn't have to be an ice bath as such. You could just have something like a cold shower, or if you have areas that are particularly sore following exercise. For example, if you've done a gym class and you feel sore sort of around the kneecaps, using a bag of peas on those knees when you know it's going to be sore will help to calm down that soreness on the day after. But ultimately, making the body a little bit colder following that response to exercise will help to prevent some of the soreness the next day. And my final tip is really about making sure that we're rehydrated. So when we are performing sports and exercise, our body is becoming more dehydrated. What we want to do is make sure that we're taking on extra water following that. Water, we know our body needs to be hydrated. We know that that makes us feel good. So it's no surprise that when we do high intensity exercise and we really look to use that water and drain that water, it's so important that we're replenishing that. It will have lots of well-being effects beyond having just making us less sore after exercise, but it will be definitely helping with that. So if we know what our typical amount of water that we like to take into our body is required, what we want to be doing is looking to be doing even more than that post-exercise. So as quickly as possible, once you stop exercising, make sure that you're rehydrated. We want to be replacing those electrolytes. Making sure that our body is hydrated will help to prevent things like cramping. So make sure you're getting plenty of fluids into that body afterwards. A good way of checking without sounding too crude is to be analysing your urine colour. We know that we want that to be a see-through transparent colour rather than a dark colour. So if once you've completed exercise you're noticing that urine is particularly dark, we know that we're very dehydrated. That's going to lead to making us sore following exercise. Get that fluid back in, and that's going to help us to reduce that soreness following exercise. I hope those tips have been helpful. There's many things that this video could go into, but I wanted to give some 4 quick fire tips that you can implement daily into your lifestyle to help with some of that soreness after exercise. Have you made it this far in the video? If so, do me a favour and hit that thumbs up button, because that's showing me that this is the type of content that you want to be seeing. It will also help others to pick up on these tips. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and you like this video, hit that subscribe button and I'll really appreciate that. And here's another video to help you on your health, fitness and well-being journey. I'll see you on the next video.